Smith. I'll be chairing the meeting today. We also have a team of folks working to ensure this meeting runs smoothly for us in the room and those listening online. As we continue to meet in person, all committee members are required to be physically present here in the MetroPlan Orlando boardroom for purposes of achieving a quorum. Staff will continue to stream our meetings online for public access. Now it's time for the Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone will please rise, and I'll ask Mayor Dallas to lead us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so good morning again. This morning I ask that everyone silence your phones, smart devices, and I do ask that all committee members wait to be recognized to speak and to activate your microphones before speaking and turn them back off when you are complete. There are two public comments points in the meeting. The first is for action items and the second is for comments of a general nature. You may provide your public comments in person, virtually, over Zoom, or in advance by email or phone message. We want this and all future meetings to be accessible to all. Participants may join by computer, tablet, or phone. If you need accommodations to participate in the future, please contact MetroPlan Orlando. I would like to welcome two new MAC members. We have Commissioner Ingram from City of Winter Park and Councilmember Randolph from City of Maitland. So welcome.
Thank you.
I will now turn it over to Ms. Bauk for agenda review.
All right. Good morning, Chair. Good morning, MAC members. My name is Laura Bauk. I'm Manager of Project Development here at MetroPlan Orlando, and I'm filling in for Sarah this month while she is away at the WTS Annual Conference in Los Angeles. So thank you for letting me join you today. First, I'd like to say thanks to all who took the time to take our 2026 Regional Transportation Survey and for all of it who shared it with your constituents. We've heard from the research team that we had over 2,500 responses, which is fantastic. Our researchers are digesting the information now and we'll have results for you soon on that. Next, you may remember that we had a few presentations on our Unified Planning Work Program, or the UPWP, last cycle, and the UPWP has been reviewed by FDOT and FHWA, and we've received no corrective actions. So the MPO board will take action on the budget document at their next meeting next week. And then you may recall our recent research on e-micromobility as a part of our white paper series. That was the first of sort of our reboot of that series on different transportation topics. We're currently wrapping up our second white paper, which is balancing speed management and emergency response time. And as we plan for our next round of research, we would like to ask for your input on which topics should be prioritized and included in that research program. So this afternoon, Lisa's going to send you a survey. It should take about 3 to 5 minutes tops to fill out, where you can give us any ideas that you have for some research that we could take up. And that's going to allow us to identify where we should be focusing our efforts in this next fiscal year. Finally, I would say our Vision Zero speaker series is continuing with our next installment occurring on distracted driving on May 20th. It starts at noon, and I encourage you to join us if you're able to. If you can't, we always record those, and they're available on our MetroPlan Orlando YouTube channel. And then just one small housekeeping note, our office will be closed on May 25th for Memorial Day. And with that, I would usually be turning this over to Mike to do the safety moment, but he's also out, so we can scoot over there and go do that for you. Hello again, different angle. Okay, so today we're going to cover a topic that we haven't covered since I believe our first safety moment, and that's on speed. Just a little table setting to start. So during the development of our Vision Zero action plans, we identified a regional high injury network as well as local high injury networks. But those high injury networks are those roadways on the network that have the majority of our fatal and serious injury crashes. So for the regional network, that's about 2% of our roadways that have about 47% of those types of crashes. So the average posted speed on that high injury network is about 43 miles an hour. But when we look at that 85th percentile speed, that's the speed at which about 85% of the cars are moving. They're about 10 miles an hour over that average at 53 miles an hour. So we know that there are going to be ramifications for all users with that type of speeding, but especially for our vulnerable road users. So one of the things that we are able to do with the detailed crash data that we're able to get from Signal 4, in conjunction with some of the pedestrian and bicycle counts that we're able to take with our MyoVision cameras that we have, is to start understanding some of the risks in crossing roadways at various posted speeds. So we had about 36 corridors where we had pretty good pedestrian counts, and we applied 10 years of crash data to that. And we were only looking at crashes where the pedestrian was crossing the main roadway and the vehicles were not turning. So the assumption is that the motorist is basically at a free flow speed. And this analysis was irrespective of fault. So it didn't matter if it was the pedestrian that wasn't yielding or the car that wasn't yielding, didn't matter. But we were sort of expecting to see a steady ramping up in the number of crashes. But if you take a look at the chart that's up on right now, you'll see that the number of crashes from 25 to 30, even up to 35, basically stayed the same. But then there's a huge jump, about an 8-fold increase when we go up to 40 miles an hour. And then that change from 40 to 45, you can see there's not much of a difference there. And so that's for all pedestrian crashes, this particular chart. And then we have the second one that just focuses on our severe crashes, or fatal and severe injury pedestrian crashes. And here we've collapsed down the speeds just because we have fewer crashes. But now we're seeing a 12-fold increase in that crash risk when we look at the 25-35 up to 40 to 45. And we noticed a similar jump when we looked at bicycle crashes involving an overtaking motorist, where we saw the same type of increase. So in considering risk, we look not only at the speed, but also at darkness. And there is about a 3-time risk factor between crashes occurring during the day versus at night. But then when we look at the day versus night on those roadways that are posted over 40 miles an hour, that jumps up to an 8-time risk factor. And then when we look at our serious crashes, there's still that 3 times risk going from daytime to nighttime. But if we're looking at roadways that are posted at 40 miles an hour, that bumps up to a 12-time risk factor. So I think our sort of safety moment, our takeaway this today is maybe it's time for us to start looking at this sort of sign as something of a warning, both for pedestrians, of course, but also for all of us when you think about those roadways and crashes that are occurring during the day at roads posted under 40 versus at night on roads posted above 40. There's a 40 times increase, 40 increase in the risk that you're going to see on those types of crashes. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Do we have any questions for Ms. Fox? Yes.
So on the nighttime crashes, did you look at lit streets versus non-lit streets?
Yes, that's when we're looking at the darkness factor. It's whether the presence or absence of lighting, daytime versus nighttime. Yeah.
Any additional questions? Seeing none, thank you very much. Very
Thank you.
interesting. Now we are moving on to agency reports. First up is Mr. Scarf with FDOT District 5. Mr. Scarf, you're up.
Morning, Mr. Chair, MAC members. Thank you for the opportunity to share some district-wide news this morning. As a final reminder, the District Safety Office will be holding the 3rd annual Central Florida Safety Summit tomorrow at from 10 to 2 at Lavender on the Lake in St. Cloud. The Central Florida Safety Summit is an annual event celebrating and spreading awareness of the efforts made by our local governments, transportation organizations, law enforcement, advocacy groups, schools, and FDOT to improve safety on local roadways. So again, this is our annual event. Excited to host it tomorrow. Next slide, please. So from our safety office, continuing on that note, May marks Youth Traffic Safety Month, and it's a reminder that young people experience our transportation systems in many ways, whether it's walking to school, riding bikes, traveling with others, or getting behind the wheel for the first time. As daily routines change with the onset of summer, more young drivers end up on Florida roads, going to beaches, visiting friends and family, or commuting to summer jobs. So I'll give you a few stats. As of January this year in Florida, nearly 940,000 licensed drivers were between the ages of 15 and 19 years old. That represents 1 in 20 drivers on Florida roadways. And why it matters is that teens and young drivers are more susceptible to certain risks and risky behaviors while driving. Distractions such as phones and passengers, speeding, and not wearing seatbelts are all behaviors that contribute to crashes. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, teen drivers are more than twice as likely to engage in 1 or more potential risky behaviors while driving with a teenaged peer than when driving alone. Additional research shows that the risk of fatal crashes goes up in direct relation to the number of teenagers in a car with a teenage driver. So again, just a few more stats to reinforce that. In 2025, Florida teen drivers were involved in 8.5% of total traffic fatalities and 11.5% of total crashes. Next slide, please. In your package, you do have your full construction report. I'll typically call out a couple of upcoming projects in the near future. First, State Road 423 from Kingswood Drive to Anderson Street. This project will construct pedestrian safety improvements along State Road 423 from Kingswood Drive to Anderson Street. A couple of the intersection improvements that are included in this project are new crosswalks, updated pedestrian signals, and yield to pedestrian signs at Kingswood Drive and Anderson Street. The first directional median west of Anderson Street will be closed, and a new traffic signal will replace the existing directional median near the McDonald's and R&R Tire Express entrance at the Lee Road Shopping Center. And the new intersection will also be equipped with crosswalks, pedestrian signals, and yield to pedestrian signs. And the sign will be repaved, the roadway will be repaved as needed to accommodate new pavement markings. Next slide. This is one of our resurfacing projects that began on April 30th. And this is Sand Lake Road, also known as State Road 482 from Orange Blossom Trail to South Orange. And again, the purpose of this project is to resurface the Sand Lake Road and to rehabilitate and restore the asphalt pavement. Project limits are from east of Orange Blossom Trail to south of Orange Avenue in Orange County. So those are your project updates, and pending questions, Mr. Chair, that concludes my update for this morning.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Scar? Okay, seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up is Ms. Whitten from Lynx. Ms. Whitten.
Good morning. Thank you. Only a few quick updates from Links. First, I'll start with ridership. Our cumulative average daily is around 64,000 riders. This is up 1% from fiscal year 25. We did have our last service change April 26th. It was mostly minor route and schedule modifications. We do have one change that will take place as part of this, but it will not take place until May 11th, and that's modifications to our NeighborLink service. We're transitioning to a new provider, Freebie. So with that change, we'll be getting rid of the 2-hour advance reservation policy as well as the time points. So now riders can either go through the Freebie app to reserve their ride or call the number. And that'll be done in 2 phases, like half of the NeighborLink May 11th, and then the other half will be done on May 26th. And then also on May 26th, we'll be unveiling our annual public bus. This is where nonprofits in Orange, Osceola, and Seminole County can submit applications to have their logo placed on a bus that will operate on Lynx routes throughout the year. So on May 26th at 10:30 a.m., the bus will be unveiled at City Hall with Mayor Dyer and Lynx CEO Tiffany Homler-Hawkins. If you're available, please come join us. That concludes my update.
Thank you. Any questions for Lynx? Okay, thank you, Ms. Whitten. And finally, we have Mr. Hughes from Florida's Turnpike Enterprise. Mr. Hughes, when you're ready.
Yes. Good morning, Chair, committee members. So today I just want to provide you guys with a few up and coming public information meetings that we have at the enterprise, beginning with Project 436194-3, widening Florida's Turnpike Main Line, State Road 91 is located in Osceola County. Just a few components listed below. Project is currently in design. Construction has been funded into year 28. This study will, provide future noise studies. Virtually, we will have a meeting on the 9th of June and in person on the 11th of June. Second project that we have is project 438547-2 and 44979-1 and 44979-3 Orlando South Ultimate Interchange. This primary focus is on improvements to the Florida's Turnpike, State Road 91 and Beachline Expressway, State Road 520 Interchange located in Orange County. Again, this project is currently in design. Construction has been funded to 28, virtually on the 16th of June and in person on June 18th. Now we should have a fact sheet newsletter completed by this week, probably early next week. I can have that to you guys. And definitely we will have a project manager come in before this public meeting to just give you more information about the project scope and the pros of adding these projects to your surrounding areas. And with that, that concludes my agency report for today.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Hughes? Okay, thank you, Mr. Hughes. I will now turn it over to Ms. Lisa Smith for the roll call.
Yes, good morning. Carson, David, Dowlis,
Here.
Henson,
Here.
Ingram, Keller, Kennedy,
Here.
McCann,
Here.
Randolph,
Here.
Sackett, Sladig, Smith.
Here.
Mr. Chair, that concludes the roll call, and we do have a quorum physically present. And I received a request for an excused absence today from Councilman David.
Okay. Do we have a motion to excuse Commissioner?
Move
Dav-
approval for David excuse.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so that passes. Moving on to public comments. We will now hear public comments on action items. We ask that you provide your name and address for the record, and please hold public comments to 2 minutes or less. If any members of the public wish to comment and are joining us virtually, please use the raise hand function and you'll be recognized, or dial *9 on your phone keypad. We'll send you a prompt to unmute your mic. If you need accommodations to participate in the future, please contact Metro Plan Orlando. Do we have anyone joining us virtually who would like to make a comment?
We have not received any requests to speak, and there's none online.
Okay, do we have any members of the public attending in person that wish to make a public comment?
We do not.
And are there any written comments that are submitted before the meeting?
None.
Okay. We have 3 action items today. Our first action item is approval of the MAC meeting minutes from March 5th, 2026. These can be viewed at section 1 in your agenda packets. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Mayor McCann, second by Mayor Henson. This is a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Next, we're considering a request to approve the amendments to the fiscal year 25-26 to fiscal year 29-30 Transportation Improvement Program, TIP. Materials are provided in section 2. We will hear from Ms. Natalie Barber of Metro Plan Orlando, who will provide more information. Ms. Barber, you have the floor.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chair and committee members. I have 5 amendments for you today. The first 2 relate to railroad projects. The first one is a railroad signal upgrades at Silver Star Road. It's an addition of $230,000 in federal funds for railroad and utilities work in fiscal year 2026. The next one is a surface rehab at Crossing on Eunice Avenue. It's an addition of $142,000, also in federal funds for railroad and utilities work in the same fiscal year. The next 3 are transit related projects. The first is a Lynx bus shelter project program. It's an addition of $850,000 in transit infrastructure grant funds for Lynx bus shelter program in 2026. The remaining 2 are for the same fiscal year 2026, and it's Lynx bus acquisition project, addition of $500,000 for Lynx bus acquisition project, and then the last one is addition of $250,000 in the same transit infrastructure grant funds for digital signage program. Unless you have any questions, I'm asking for your recommendation of approval for these amendments as presented to you today.
Are there any questions for Ms. Barber? Okay. Do I have a motion to recommend approval of the TIP amendment?
Move approval.
Motion by Mayor Dallas,
Second.
second by Mayor McCann. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? This is a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you. Last is the election of the new MAC Vice Chair. Ms. Laura Bauk of Metro Plan Orlando will provide more information. Ms. Bauk, you have our attention.
All right, thank you. So the current vice chair seat is vacant because Commissioner Sal Ramos, our former vice chair, did not seek reelection for his seat and therefore no longer sits on the MAC. So the vice chair's term shall be aligned with the current chair's per the bylaws, which is through June 2027. Historically, the chair and vice chair positions have alternated between the counties. There's no representation from Osceola County on the MAC currently, so that position alternates between a representative from Orange County and a representative from Seminole County. There's nothing in the MAC bylaws that states that we must alternate. It has just been the practice. The current chair, Commissioner Smith, is from Seminole County. Additional information, there's nothing in the bylaws that indicates the immediate past chair cannot be vice chair. However, per the bylaws, if the chair and the vice chair are both absent from a meeting, the immediate past chair would preside over the meeting. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you for discussion.
Are there any questions for Ms. Bauk? Okay, we will now receive nominations from the floor for the role of vice chair. Do I hear any nominations?
Or, yeah, I'll nominate John if there's not someone else from Orange County that is interested. I mean, we can.
Okay, we have a nomination for Mayor Dallas. Any further nominations? Okay, hearing no further nominations, nominations for the vice chair are now closed. Do I have a motion to approve Mayor Dallas as the new MAC vice chair?
So moved.
Motion by Mayor Henson. Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Second by Councilmember Randolph. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? This is a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Congratulations. Welcome back.
That didn't take long.
Okay, we have one informational presentation today. Please hold questions until the presentation ends if possible. We have a status update on the Vision Zero Central Florida from Ms. Bauk. Ms. Bauk, I see you're getting your steps in. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Good to see you again from this perspective. So just an update on what we have been up to the last few months from a safety perspective and what we have coming up. A little table setting, since I know we have a couple of new MAC members. Back in 2022, we were recipients of a Safe Streets and Roads for All grant that we utilized to develop a regional safety action plan. We also worked with your staff and staff from all of the jurisdictions here in our planning area to develop local action plans for each of those jurisdictions. And a lot of the work that came out of those efforts is now up on our website, on our Safety Hub site. Everything from elected officials guides to give you information on how you can help support the safety work that we're doing now, a kids safety activity book, various safety videos, a lot of other information. One of the most popular things on our Safety Hub site is our crash data dashboard. This includes information on crashes from 2018 to 2024. It's fully interactive. You can sort of sort it by your jurisdiction, by the type of crash. So if you haven't had a chance to visit, I encourage you to do so and take a look. So we adopted the Regional Safety Action Plan in September of 2022. And last fall, about a year after that, we kicked off our first annual reporting for the Safety Action Plan. And this offered us an opportunity to look at some of the updated crash trends. When we did the initial safety action planning, we had crash data available from 2018 to 2022. Since plan adoption, we've gotten 2 additional years of crash data, so we were able to look at how those trends have started to change over the last couple of years. We also documented the progress we've been able to make at the regional level on the 35 or so actions in our safety action plan. And we also reached out to all of our local partners to see how they're making progress, and we've documented that. And then taking a look at the actions that have been implemented so far, some of the safety projects that have come online over the last 12 to 18 months or so, and comparing those to the trends, we're able to start seeing some areas of future focus, places where we might want to shift either the timing or the focus on some of the actions in the safety action plan, starting to think about how we may change or focus on different things when we do our next major update to the safety action plan. So a lot of really good information to help us continuing monitoring how we're doing from a safety perspective. For the annual report, there are 2 products coming out of that. One is an executive summary. It's about 16 to 18 pages, but real high gloss, lots of graphics, easy to read, I promise. And that's a PDF. And then to go along with that, we also have a story map for those who are really into the data and want to dive in and start to look at some of the interactive mapping. Both of those are available on the website now, and I think we'll be sending out an email that has links to both our community report, which is like broader efforts that we're doing at the regional level, as well as to our annual safety report. So I encourage you to check that out. Another thing that we've been working on is developing a methodology for doing before and after evaluations of our safety projects specifically. As an agency, we've done before and after evaluations of our signal retiming program. You guys may remember year over year, but haven't really been doing the same sort of thing on the safety projects. And we do feel like it's important for us to understand which types of countermeasures are performing the best here in our region, what types of crashes are they making the most impact on, and what are the most cost effective. So as a part of this effort, we developed both a scope for the before and after methodology, something that we'll be using as an agency moving forward as we start to do before and after evaluations on a few projects, at least a year is the intent as resources allow. But also we're hoping that the scope will be a template that our local partners can use as they're doing their own before and after evaluations. So in addition to that scope that we developed, there's also an attendant evaluation matrix that has a whole ton of performance metrics that can be considered depending on the types of countermeasures that have been implemented. So that's just another tool for us and our partners as we're building out these before and after evaluations. In addition to the safety metrics, there is some other information to guide developing those before and after evaluations in terms of what the period's going to be like that you look at before a project was put in place, what the period's going to look like on the other end, information on the types of data that's available, how readily available it is, and other guidance just to build out what that scope looks like. So those, the evaluation matrix is up on the website already, and the scope will be up soon. So stay tuned for more on that. And then another thing that we've been doing is in that e-bike space, and this actually fits nicely with the youth focus for FDOT this year, has been on e-bike safety. This particular chart is showing the uptick in bicycle crashes. And we've started to see a significant increase in particular in most recent years pre-COVID that we think is in part attributed to e-bikes. And in looking at the populations that are seeing some of those upticks and where we could be focusing some of our educational efforts, middle school and high school is a place that we are focusing on. And working with the American Bicycle Education Association, or ABEA, they actually developed an online e-bike training for teens. It's fully self-directed, various modules that cover everything from the safety of the vehicles themselves to some considerations for sort of on bike or on vehicle safety that students can do at their own pace and get through it. And in addition to the training, we have developed pre and post surveys for us to get an idea of sort of what the students knew before they took the training and then after, as a means of us understanding if this is a good means of imparting this type of education in the online space. So we've been working with each of the 3 school districts to try and identify schools that we can work with. Osceola County has actually already done 2, maybe 3 of these actually, where they've offered the course, and we're working with Orange County to get this online, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. So we know school is wrapping up, but we do still have a small window where we can get this out to some students. And the intent is to likely do something like this again in the next school year, but with the testing that we're able to get in for this school year, we'll be doing some evaluation and start to take a look at whether or not we're able to really get this education across using this online format. So more to come on that. And then I mentioned in the liaison notes that we are ramping back up our white paper research. The first one that we did most recently was the e-micromobility primer that we put out in the fall. That was sort of a point in time look at the policy landscape locally, at the state level, and nationally in terms of what people are doing in around e-micromobility, looking at sales and ridership trends, and then a variety of opportunities for us to look at how we can be doing better from a safety perspective in terms of design, education, and then just understanding of what these vehicles can do. So that was put out in the fall, and that's available on our website now. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we're wrapping up that second white paper that's looking at how we can best coordinate to make sure that as we are implementing speed management devices, we're not negatively impacting those emergency response times. So that one should be out in the next couple of weeks. Stay tuned for that. And then we were pleased to find out that we were lucky enough to be awarded a second Safe Streets and Roads for All grant that we got executed, this last January. With this second grant, we'll be undertaking activities in sort of 4 broad areas. We'll continue to do our safety-focused education and outreach activities. We will be doing some additional data analytics on some things that were of interest as we were doing the initial safety action planning, but we didn't have either the time or resources to really dive into them. We'll be doing some of that deep diving with this grant. The bulk of the funds from the grant we're using to do road safety audits on a number of corridors that are on the high injury network in the region. A little bit more on that on the next slide. And then with the findings from all of those activities, we'll be wrapping that up in some final documentation that will be helping us prep for our next major update of that safety action plan. And all of the work under this grant will be completed by June of 2028. So the road safety audits, we currently have 7 underway. You can see the corridors there. We do think that we'll be able to fund somewhere on the order of 15 to 20 of these RSAs, but these are the 7 that are currently underway. We've kicked off on all of them, and we actually have our first field review for State Road 436. That one's in City of Orlando next Monday, and then they'll be coming pretty hot and heavy after that for a while. But these efforts for these RSAs will be wrapping up in the late summer, early fall, and then we'll be reaching out to your staff and others in probably the midsummer timeframe to start our scoping for the next round of RSAs. So those will continue for the next several months, and we'll be bringing some high-level information about our findings about those at future updates. And once again, just another reminder that our next safety speaker series will be focused on distracted driving. I think this will be a really interesting one and good for the general public, not just for us industry folks. One of our speakers is going to be talking about the psychology behind distracted driving, why it's so easy for us to get distracted. And then our other speaker is going to be talking about some of the things those of us on the design side can be doing to make it more difficult to become distracted, to make sure people are paying attention when they're driving. So it should be an interesting one. If you're available, I encourage you to join us. And if you're not, you can always get to it on our Metro Plan Orlando YouTube channel. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Do we have any questions? Commissioner Kennedy?
My favorite part of the meeting, always. Thank you. I
Thank
love
you.
this. I have several questions. I was in a meeting, there was a state rep briefing, and they were talking about the lack of segregation of e-bike data.
Yes.
And I said, I'm pretty sure MetroPlan Orlando is doing that. Is that, and you were talking about comparing best practices with other regions. Is that something you all are just doing as a pilot that you don't see other regions doing?
No. So I'll speak about Florida specifically because I'm not quite sure what the status is for other states. But right now, on the crash form that our police officers fill out, there's no checkbox for e-micromobility devices, your bike ped vehicle. So they're working on changing that. I think right now the time frame on that's like 2028 for when that new crash form is going to be available. But right now, any of those e-bike e-bike crashes would just go into the bicycle category, but even e-scooter crashes, those are probably going into the bicycle category as well. So Jamie, our intern who is in the corner back there, is helping us right now. She's working through the 2025 data, parsing out those crashes that involve e-micromobility for us. 2020 through 2024, Cutter had undertaken some of that effort. We need to do some validation on those crashes. But so that's something that we're working through. And I think in pockets, as there's resources, there are others that are doing some of the same stuff throughout the state. But yeah, it's something that we all need to get up to speed on so we understand where those crashes are occurring and we can really do the analysis to understand what types of countermeasures we should be pursuing to reduce those types of crashes.
Well, that's great because I bragged on you. They're doing it.
Well, thank you.
The new data, and you mentioned before and after.
Yes.
Is that something that's going to be relatively easy for me to get either my city or Northwest Orange County slice to do a before and after?
So actually, I should mention this on the slide. Actually, the first thing that we'll be, well, not first, the next thing that we'll be doing in that before and after space is testing the scope of services. And we're going to be using one project from each county.
Mhm.
So we'll get a better idea of if we need to make any tweaks to the scope to make it more what we need to see. But the intent for us is to be able to do a few of these before and afters, and we'll be picking locations, I would say, throughout the planning area. And then for Orange County, they'll certainly have access to the scope of services to do this type of
But
evaluation.
like the impact on the high injury network
Mhm.
in my municipality and in Northwest Orange County, I'll be able to pull that slice out in 2-year tranches or something.
Well, for the before and after, it's really on specific projects. So you'll look at a project that was actually enacted
Okay,
and
got
then
it.
look at the data before and after to see what the impacts were. Yeah.
And the last one is just a comment.
Mhm.
Like I said, this is my favorite program. I love the data-driven approach that y'all have. And I talk to people and I'm like, well, do you know about Vision Zero? And they're like, no. And when the Links presentation, she was talking about doing visibility for a nonprofit on a bus. Y'all should do a bus for them.
I concur. No, I'm kidding.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I have you have a question, Mayor? No? 2 questions. So the grant that's now available that you guys just received,
Yes.
is that available? Will there be funds there for the local municipalities so they can look at the areas that they selected as well?
So for that grant, we will be working with local municipalities to identify, or we have worked with them to identify locations to do road safety audits on, but it's not something where they would get like a chunk of funds. It's something that we're administrating.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then just remind me about the e-bike safety
Yes.
pilot. What age group are we targeting again?
Middle and high school.
Middle and high
The
school.
12 to 16.
Okay. And then how are you going to measure the success of that program?
So as I mentioned, we developed before and after surveys, essentially quizzes for them. So there's a quiz to test their knowledge before they take the course and then after, and then we're just comparing the scores. And we have them tied together, those before and after, so we can see each student. Like this student knew this much before they took the course and this much after, and then we'll be aggregating that.
Great. Thank you. Any additional questions?
Yeah, I do actually.
Mayor McCann?
Yeah, excuse me. Thanks. I
Yeah.
had a great meeting with Emily with Bike
Bike
Walk
Walk, yep.
Central Florida this week. And as Winter Springs particularly, so this is a kind of specific. I believe Castleberry uses them and many other communities. I just want to make sure I'm not leaving a stone unturned. What we have is a high school and a middle school and elementary school opposing sides. We have a Wawa being built in between, a Chick-fil-A being built in between. There's already McDonald's, Wendy's, and other businesses. And we know that those kids are running out of the high school, crossing a 4-lane divided road.
Yeah.
And running over, or they will be once they're open to Wawa and Chick-fil-A and coming back. We want to make sure that we're not leaving any stone unturned on maybe safety research or anything else. Can you, maybe it's more appropriate to talk privately after our meeting today, but I'm really searching for any resources our community can use. I don't want to get that phone call that we've had a child hit and it's looking that way. Any help, or is that something I should follow up privately?
Yeah, let's talk after, because I'm pretty sure I know which roadway segment you're talking about, but we can confirm. I can let you know if it's on a Hinder network and if we've already started to identify some safety countermeasures. But yeah, let's discuss.
Thank you.
And Commissioner Kelly?
Good morning. I'm excited to be here. One of the things that I was interested to just ask about, and forgive me if this is something that you may have already been aware of since I'm new to the group here, but I think there's also something to be said for looking at, I know we're talking about like, accidents and crashes and things like that, but also as we're educating, because I think there's 2 different populations. We need to look at obviously the children that are using the e-bikes and maybe need that education. But also, in the current times of gas prices, there are a lot of adults using e-bikes as transportation to and from work who also need to be educated on the rules of the road, but also I think that data is kind of two different groups that, you know, whether if even if it is, you know, accident data, but even user data, because like I said, I think that, you know, there's obviously a lot of people looking for ways to get to and from work inexpensively based on gas prices and things like that, or just it's their mode of transportation. And then also, I think we do have a real crisis with young people on these things that they're putting themselves in danger. So I would be interested to see if there's a way to maybe get more data related to those separate groups. I don't know if that's again something that
I think some of that will come out of some of that parsing of it, of the types of crashes, in particular those that are e-micromobility involved. Once we have that sort of subset of crashes, then we can start looking at the demographics and having some more takeaways from that. So I think that's coming.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any additional questions, comments? Okay, thank you, Ms.
Thank you so much.
There are several items under general information at section 3 in your agenda packets. The next Metro Plan Orlando Board meeting will be on Wednesday, May 13th at 9 a.m. And our next MAC meeting is June 4th at 9:30 a.m. At this time, do any committee members want to make any final comments? Please unmute yourself when you're recognized. Okay, moving on to public comments. If any members of the public wish to comment, please use your raise hand function and you'll be recognized, or dial *9 on your phone keypad. We'll unmute your mic. After you're recognized, please state your name and address for the record and limit your comment to 2 minutes or less. Do we have anyone joining us virtually who would like to make a comment?
No, we do not.
Do we have any members of the public attending in person that wish to make a public comment?
Have not received any requests.
And are there any written or phone comments that were submitted before the meeting?
No, none received.
Okay, at this time, if there is no further business, we stand adjourned. Thank you.
Still 2 weeks away.
Mayor Henson,
I'll just call Jess. Oh, well, we're out.
you want to tell everybody about the